I didn't see you there.
Something big is going on here.
From hunting ghosts to Bigfoot.
Paranormal, UFOs, true crime, and more.
We won't just be spouting articles.
I was researching for your entertainment.
The beginning of a new world.
The best guac you'll ever fucking eat.
True story.
It's basically like one day you walk outside and you see that the ants are playing with matches.
This is the
Black Cat Report.
See you on the other side.
So, I've learned some amazing piratey terms as I was researching the life of Stede Bonnet. Do you guys want to hear a few?
Oh, yeah.
Bilge rat.
Ooh.
This was an insult given to people. Like, yar, you bilge rat, you didn't scrub the deck. That's pretty much what it was. Bilge was the center of the ship where a lot of the...
It makes me think of bile.
where all the crap went, pretty much. Bilge. So, bring upon a spring upon her cable. Do you guys know what that means?
That is way too long to be.
Bring upon a
shorthand.
spring upon her cable.
Or bring a spring upon her cable.
Bring
yeah.
a spring up cable.
So-
Sounds sexy.
It means to come around from another direction.
Oh, I bet it does.
Yeah. So that was a pretty innuendo thing that they used. And this is you on a drinking night, Gil. A carouser.
Sounds about right.
Someone who partakes in riotous drinking and festivities.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah,
That's pretty, everybody in the studio is nodding. Yeah.
Yeah. Dance the hempen jig.
Oh.
That's me.
This is one is to literally be hanged or to hang.
Oh.
Yeah. The
You
hempen
said
jig.
hemp, and I was like,
Hempen jig. Yeah, I guess the hemp rope is what they mean. Yeah, I think
the
that's what
rope
they
being
mean.
made of hemp.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And the last one, landlubber. Basically a person who sucks at being a pirate or sucks at
Wow.
being the sea.
Which brings us to Stede Bonnet.
So, welcome to the Black Cat Report in episode 48, Stede Bonnet, Part 2.
part deux.
Part 2. With me is Carousing Gil,
Hello.
Buccaneer Betsabe,
Hello.
and Sea Shanty Selena.
Hi.
And we are setting our sails for the landlubber Stede Bonnet. Oh, and I'm also Joey, so... At this point in time, Stede is sitting on a boat that isn't his. He's on the Queen Anne's Revenge, watching Blackbeard and two other captains lead the armada. Stede's boat, the Revenge, is being captained by another man named Richards, and they are setting sail for Charlestown, or what is modern-day Charleston. Now, it can't be said enough of the difference between the two men. Blackbeard, or Edward Thatch, was a taller, rougher-looking man with long black beard and crazy piercing eyes. Basically fits the narratives of what a pirate should be, and he was very scary to behold in battle, as well as a great tactician, because he knew what he was doing. He'd been doing it enough. So Stede, on the other hand, was described as a shorter and more portly fellow who wore more gentlemanly attire with a gold-brimmed hat and a more fitted coat. So he basically looked like if you put Danny DeVito in a fitted dress suit on the bow of a ship.
All right.
And then I shot him.
Yeah, and then
Just Danny DeVito in like pimp wear.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. So also, fun fact, I found this out by researching it. There is a show called Our Flag Means Death.
I've heard of that show.
It's Taco Akiki and Rise Darby. And Taco Akiki plays Blackbeard, and Rise Darby plays Stede Bonnet.
Oh, shit.
And so there is actually a comedic show on, I think it's on HBO. There was on HBO. There's two seasons of it. And it's basically it's basically the jokes that they make of that.
Anything Takai Waititi makes, I am in love with.
It's great. And it basically makes Blackbeard look amazing and Stede Bonnet look like the bumbling idiot that he mostly is. Which, as we see in the story, he kind of is as a pirate. So
Well, he's like, that's a big ship.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to take it.
Let's go.
He's got a
do.
professional
Let's go
career
do.
as a pirate cuck.
Yeah, he's pretty much a pirate cook. He just bought a ship for everybody. He just bought a ship for himself, ended up being everybody else's ship.
He's
Yeah.
just like the like nerdy rich kid that wants to be friends with everyone and doesn't know how, so he just like buys them stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he
He's
was
a
as a
poser.
kid. He's a poser, yep. A poser sailor. Anyways, so they headed to Charlestown and started blasting through the seas to Charleston Harbor. The four ships spread out and choked the entryway so that no ship could get into or out of the harbor without dealing with them. And as soon as they set up shop, they took 5 ships and within 5 days they had taken 9 ships, including the Charlestown pilot boat that helped other boats navigate the shoals around the city. So at this time, news traveled very fast, and soon the whole town was panicking, and trade by water completely stopped. No one wants to go out there because they know they're going to get taken by a pirate ship. They knew they were out there. But at this point, they couldn't see them. So, like, they're in the harbor a little farther away, hitting choke points so that, no ships get in or out without dealing with them. But at this point, the town couldn't see the ships. So they were just out far enough to not be seen. So one of the vessels they had seized was a huge passenger boat headed for London. This boat held about 80 people, including an influential merchant and a member of the provincial council named Samuel Wragg. The prisoners were interrogated and asked the questions the same as before, basically what Stede was doing all the time. So I think this was his influence on Blackbeard. Not much is said about the affairs of Stede during this time. He's not the captain, but he's still on the boat. But I do think that he did influence that part of them questioning and asking the very strategic questions. Thatch, Bonnet, and Richards held a meeting on what the next course of action. So they were basically sitting out in the port, taking ships that came by. And I think it was Bonnet that came up with the idea to send emissaries to the leaders in Charleston to barter for a medicine. So Bonnet was smart in that area because he knew how to run things. He knew how to run a set of ships. He didn't know how to run ships in general, but he knew how to run a business because he was good at it. He was good at being an aristocrat. So I think that he came up with that plan to send the emissaries. So Thatch sent one prisoner with his pirate attachment, which was 2 to 3 pirates, to the council. He wanted the prisoner to go to show how serious of a predicament that the prisoners were in, that they took from that boat. And if they didn't comply with the commands, Thatch, as ruthless as he was like, I'm just going to kill them all. Don't matter to me. They're just people. So after a few mishaps, basically they sent those 3 to 4 people out. Their canoe that was going towards the island sunk. They got another one. It sunk as well. So basically the prisoner, who was named Mr. Marks, who was anointed as the speaker to talk to them, he ended up hiring a fisherman's boat, 2 of them, to get to the shore so that they can actually get to the council. So they had to make sure that Blackbeard's demands were met. And to the surprise and joy of Mr. Marks, it only took 2 days to gather all the necessary medicine that they demanded in exchange for the prisoners. As fast as it felt for Mr. Marks, Blackbeard felt this was way too slow and was constantly yelling at the prisoners, saying, "You should not live 2 more hours," so in constant fear that they would be executed. Blackbeard decided it had been long enough, and he moved the armada close enough to Charlestown that they could see them. So now all the people on shore are just like, oh shit, the pirates are out there, actually being able to see the sails on the horizon. So people started going crazy and running this way and that in the streets. It's nuts.
I just picture the ship still like 8 miles out, and everybody's like, ah! And it's like running around.
I mean, it would probably take them a couple hours still to get to shore after 8 miles, But still, they were close enough to be seen, which is crazy because they knew that boats were getting captured. So people go a little crazy because they're thinking, oh crap, now they're just going to come here and take everything they want. Probably about 300 sailors.
Pirates came on land. Grr!
Yeah. Well, I mean, 300 sailors at this point, they had enough for like a colonial town almost. Yeah. So basically it was a floating town, Yeah. So in constant fear that they would be executed, Blackbeard, basically just, okay, let's move forward. So it was Mr. Marks who hurriedly went to find the pirates because the pirates went missing that were with the envoy of people. They just went somewhere and went to the taverns and were just like, whatever, I don't care, I'm gonna go. So basically Mr. Marks had to go find these people to make sure that that the pirates didn't come in and destroy the town. Oh my god. So after this, they took a couple hours to find them. They found them, then they ended up getting back to the ship, delivering the goods. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So they the goods made their way onto the Queen Anne's Revenge. Blackbeard actually made good on his promise and cut loose the prisoners, and then they decided off the prisoners went. So Stede Bonnet on the deck of the Queen Anne's Revenge, the only one was looking back at the city as they departed. Everyone else was looking straight forward because this is not the last time that he would see Charlestown. Mm-hmm. So after that, the fleet separated ways for a bit and then reunited on Topsail Island in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So as everyone that has researched pirates before, Ocracoke, the Outer Banks of North Carolina, huge into pirate lore. That's where they went. It was very easy to make pirate sanctuaries there. It was very easy to go other places along the island, and also kind of, protected them because there was, plenty of runways to get out, plenty of space for them to go, and easier to get ships because ships would go along the coast. So they just snatch ships in those little reefs and harbors that are in there. So very much easier for them. At this time, it was time for a brief reprieve as the Outer Banks, hide out refugees for pirates. So they headed into Topsail Inlet. The flagship of Blackbeard's fleet, the Queen Anne's Revenge, ran aground. Basically, they just ran into, they careened their ship, but not purposefully.
Oh, dang.
So they're stuck.
Wow.
And so Blackbeard was like, well, another ship should come. So the Adventure came on its way to assist. It also ran aground.
Oh my gosh.
So now 2 of their main ships ran aground, and they were irreparably damaged. Can't repair them. So Blackbeard jumped on a small unnamed sloop, and most of the other sailors went aboard Bonnet's ship, the Revenge, because it was the other bigger ship. At this time, Bonnet was beaten, tired, and just ready for a change of scenery. So he took a small ship and went to go turn himself in for his life of piracy to the governor.
Damn.
So I just want to say a little history on this. About 9 months prior to this, on September 5th, 1717, King George I of Great Britain claimed that any pirate who surrendered on or before September 5th, 1718, would have the king's gracious pardon for such of their piracy or piracies by him or them committed before January 5th, 1718. Basically, they all get a pardon. As long as they turn themselves in, no matter what they had done, they get pardoned. It was his way to say, like, there's so much piracy going on, I just want to get rid of it. And if you're lucky, you're just, it doesn't matter. So you get a big commission saying you're reprieved of all your sins. So no matter what, no matter who was looking for you. So Bonnet made his way to Bath Town in North Carolina to the governor Thomas Eden for his pardon. Stede was granted a full piracy pardon and then went back to Topsail Inlet, thinking of ways to legally make money. Because now it's time, I can't do the life of piracy anymore. I've been reprieved. I got to make some money. So as he arrived in Topsail, he thought he had found the perfect way to make legal money. He would be a privateer in the war against Spain, which is what a lot of people did in those times. So he had a boat already. Pretty easy.
So he basically just became a British pirate.
Yes, literally. Yeah, so he became a British pirate. Much easier because now you're sanctioned by the country, so you're not running from everybody all the time. You're not running from the bropo, as they were called. So as he came upon the Revenge, he found that Blackbeard was gone, had taken all the gold, silver, and valuables, and especially all of the guns, and sailed away. Blackbeard took 17 other sailors, as well as one of the higher-ranking men, David Harriet, with the guise of giving up the life of a pirate and settling on the shores of Virginia or North Carolina. But, since it's Blackbeard, he marooned David Harriet and 16 other sailors with provisions to last only a few days, and said, "Peace, I'm out, I'm going to go back to being a pirate again." So all these people thinking, yeah, pretty much. So all these people thinking that, like, now we can put the days of piracy behind us, they're stuck on an island.
That's pretty cool, though, if you're going to be stuck somewhere.
Yeah, but it's a small island that doesn't have any food. You only have provisions to last a certain amount of time, and you have 13 other people with you.
Still, it could be worse.
Could be worse. You could die after 7 days of not having food, which is what would happen if they didn't get caught.
Yeah,
Could
but
not
have
have
they
run.
watched Castaway?
Yeah.
Yes, they did. Back then. Actually, they lived Castaway. So,
Yeah, they mostly stole volleyballs.
Yeah, they did steal
Yeah,
volleyballs.
they used to have a projector and they would show movies on the sails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the sails were for.
Mm-hmm.
Duh. Yeah.
That's actually a good idea.
Well, I mean, it wasn't my idea; it was their idea.
True, yeah. Pirates are the initial.
Well, actually, it was my idea.
True, Selena. Pirates were the initial movie theaters.
Selena
Pirate
is
ships.
a pirate.
Pirate
Yeah,
ships.
Selena is a pirate.
Yarr.
Yerg.
So after the third day, they were rescued by the enigmatic and furious Stede Bonnet.
I'm so mad.
He basically told the sailors that he was on his way to St. Thomas to privateer against the Spanish. So the rescued crew agreed to sail to St. Thomas.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah.
They agreed?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much they had a say in it because he probably could have left them. I mean, he could have said, I'll drop you off at the nearest place.
So we're thinking about just staying on the island, actually?
Yeah. Well, he said he couldn't pay them. So the only thing that they could do was basically just come along with him. He was basically providing a ride, you know? As he sailed for a few days, word reached Bonnet that Blackbeard was on Ocracoke Island, which was one of the main stays that he had. 4 days later, Stede pulled up on that island, guns a-blazing, because he bought some guns before he left. But, of course, Blackbeard, being smart, was gone. Instead of continuing on his journey to St. Thomas, which he had told everybody he was doing, which he had been commissioned to do, which everybody said to do, Bonnet said, you know what sounds like a better idea? Let's go back up to Virginia where we were before. They came upon a small ship with some provisions and stocked up on pork and bread. I will say, though, Bonnet did not want to be accused of being a pirate anymore. So, you know, because he'd basically been reprieved from it. He got his pardon. So he said, you know what? I did take all this stuff from you, but I'm going to leave you with a couple casks of rice and an old cable.
Like
a cable.
Like cable TV?
No, it could be. No, a cable, just a long cable that they used to take ships.
Oh.
You know how they throw them? They throw to pull ships.
Were they like expensive?
No.
No, this is like...
But this is the idea, that he left them with basically nothing, with casks of rice after stealing all their food. But
here's a banana.
It could be
and
seen.
A bread tie.
But he could make the argument. He's basically trying to be a lawyer in it. He could make the argument that I traded them this, and they said it was okay. So as to not be labeled a pirate anymore.
That's kind of smart.
Mm-hmm. And 2 days after they traded with the small ship, they found another ship. This time full of liquor and spirits.
Yay.
And you know they have to keep them pirates going with liquor and spirits. Otherwise,
party.
Yeah, pretty much. Otherwise, they're just going to mutineer their captain, which happens so much. That's why they kept liquor on board. Yeah. Now, at this time, for the real pirating to begin, after all, the only good pirates are drunk pirates, Bonnet, who at this time was now going by the alias of Captain Thomas, because, again, he's trying not to get caught for pirating. He sent a few men to command the sloop they had just captured. So basically, they took the ship. They took another ship, and he's really pirating. But instead of steering it with the Revenge, those people he sent to that ship took it and left. They knew Bonnet. They all were shipmates of Bonnet, and they just went, you know what's better than being with Bonnet? Not being with Bonnet. So they left, and they never saw them. They never saw the ship again. So yeah, it's pretty much gone. Which is funny because that's how most people were with Bonnet, is they just knew that he was terrible. They liked Edward Thatch, but they had just seen what Blackbeard did to them. So they're like, man, fuck that guy. And then they're also like, Bonnet sucks because we keep losing with him. And we keep getting whipped and sent home. So honestly, if I were Bonnet, I'd be like, well, it's time to go on home. But honestly, with our friend Stede, he decided just to carry on like he always does. This did push him a bit over the edge now, as all his restraints were gone, and he went full bore back into piracy. So he just didn't care about giving them anything anymore. He's like, screw it, I'm going to be a full pirate.
Real quick, did he even go after the Spanish at any point?
No.
So he just gave up on this and got pissed, even though he literally never tried.
Yes.
Wow. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, that fits with his
Sounds
character, though.
about right.
As I was writing this, like, this is, and reading about him, this is his character.
Yeah.
Like, he just gives up. He's just like, I've tried for a little bit, or not even tried, and I give
This
up.
is really hard. You literally haven't done anything. I can't stand this.
Pretty much.
He's basically a child.
He is a child,
fucking
though.
is.
Like his whole life, because he was babied, you know?
Mhm.
He was first, his parents died when he was young. So obviously he had a widow come over who had just lost her husband to raise him. And she's just babied him because you don't have any parents. Oh, you poor thing. I don't have anything else because my husband's gone. So I'm going to just you're going to be my constant attention and get everything for him.
Mhm.
Plus, he was an aristocrat. So everything he needed was given to him by his slaves he had, or his servants, depending on if he had at the time indentured servants and slaves, which he had both. So he literally was babied. And every time he doesn't get his way, he's just like, I quit. So, though, the only thing he didn't quit was pirating. This is the one thing he was like, it didn't matter. He just kept doing.
It's
Even,
like, this is a fun game. And
yeah. He saw it as a fun game. And since he owned the ship, he can technically just keep pirating. So he could just kick
Which
people
is-
off and get new people.
But that's also kind of there's a silliness here where it's like, yes, he owned the ship, but it's a ship full of pirates. At what point was there just like, yar, the honor code, we can't take it from him?
Yeah.
What? I'm like, why didn't they just take his fucking ship?
Well, because he paid
They're
them.
pirates.
Well, yeah, but he paid them.
Yeah, but
You know,
there's
and he
so
owned the
many other
ship.
times where he paid the people that just took the shit anyways and left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just saying, lost opportunities. They really just there was something in their honor code where they're like, yar, but he owns it. We can't take that.
Yeah.
Hey, if there's nothing that pirates do not know, especially the ones on his ship, it's the honor code.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Yar.
So
Here.
because of him being just pissed and angry, he made sure everyone at all times was armed and ready to go if fighting should occur. He was trying to learn lessons, basically, because he wasn't prepared for most of the other ship losses he had, which were, he had... If you look at it as like a football team, he had way more wins than losses. He only lost at this time, I think he lost 2. So he had way more wins than losses. I think he had at least 17 wins.
Well, there was the Man of War.
The Man of War.
And then there was the
Protestant Caesar.
massive ass friendship. Was that with him?
No, he won that.
No, okay, yeah.
He won the Long Concord,
And
but
then
that was
there-
Blackbeard.
The Protestant Caesar.
The Protestant Caesar, so he lost twice. So
Yeah.
it's not bad odds.
Yeah.
He just lost bad and
He-
stupidly, and so he lost big. I think that's the point. He lost big instead of
Yeah.
losing small ships. He was instead of losing, okay, I can save most of my ship. He lost a lot of people in each of the battles. He
Yeah.
lost 30 in one of them, which is.
That's
he
a
had
lot.
100 people in his ship, so he lost 30 people. That's a lot of
Yeah.
people. And he got knocked out himself. So, stupidly going through this, he just decided, man, I'm just going to keep doing this. And that's how he was. He just was stupid. To me. I just think he just lost stupid.
But it also sounds like he's having fun.
I guess so. Yeah.
Isn't that the real lesson?
Yeah. As long as you're a pirate and you're having fun, there's nothing that matters.
Yeah.
It's like those guys that get a midlife crisis and they buy a motorcycle
Mm-hmm.
and then a motorcycle jacket and then a bandana and yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of, but they're actually in finance or something like that. And they're
Yeah.
According to Spotify, that is 30% of our listeners. Selena,
So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for being so predictable.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, yeah. And they would probably agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at this time, throughout the summer months of 1718, it was Bonnet's comeback story.
Yay,
he's
having
got
a
his boat
comeback.
back. He's got his boat back. He's got some of his crews. He lost a sloop and a few people, but they weren't.
happens.
Yeah, it
Bit of a sloop
happens.
slump.
I'm sure Blackbeard lost a lot more. Honestly, I'm sure he's had people double cross him all the time.
I mean,
But
he's
he-
just
but the s-
starting too.
Yeah, but the stories didn't get out there. Blackbeard made his story bigger than the stories that were people against him. So he was smart. He knew he knew how to manipulate people.
Yeah.
And Bonnet didn't. He just was a aristocrat. He knew how to run a business, and that's why he kept a crew. It's because he knew how to run the business, but he couldn't run a ship.
I mean, no pirate is perfect.
Nope.
I mean, no one can be like Captain Jack Sparrow.
true. But he lost a bunch of ships.
But you've heard of him.
The
But you
best
have heard of him.
That's the worst damn pirate I've ever
Never
seen.
But you have heard of me. So it also wasn't the goods. So like he started pillaging boats, but it also wasn't the goods that he was taking from ships. He started getting random sailors on these ships to join him because it's actually random sailors are joining him now, which is different from before where they just didn't want to be part of his stuff. And because they started hearing of him, one of these sailors was named Robert Tucker, who would eventually become the quartermaster of the Revenge. So as of now, it did seem for the most part Bonnet's pirating was more out of necessity to fit this ship for the journey to St. Thomas. He was still saying it's out of necessity, even though he took another ship.
Mm-hmm.
But he decided instead of going down to St. Thomas, I'm just going to go up north to Pennsylvania.
I'm going to go up to
Yeah.
St. Thomas.
So,
Like,
yeah,
what?
but still, you can go up and go down around. But,
Captain Butler.
yep. But the problem is that he was supposed to go to St. Thomas, which is south, and he decides, I'm going to go to Pennsylvania, which now it's like, okay, you're definitely not going to attack the Spanish. Like, I've seen, you're retrofitting your ship, I can see, but you're in Virginia, okay, that's where some good stuff is. But now you're going even farther north. So, like, you're not doing that.
I'm totally just that bad at captaining. I really thought that was south.
I thought that was south, yeah. I mean, he did try to argue some stuff later that was really dumb, but one thing that he did do, he treated the boats he pillaged with common courtesy and decency. So he's still a gentleman and an aristocrat, so he wasn't going to just start murdering people like Blackbeard would do because he didn't care.
Mhm.
Blackbeard was like, whatever. But Stede was still like, okay, like here's some stuff. You still have your boat. I'm going to give you more stuff. I'm still going to give stuff to you. But Blackbeard didn't care. So on July 29th, 1718, Bonnet took a big sloop loaded with provisions that was bound for, where else? Barbados. Bonnet took everything and then took the ship. Like the days with Blackbeard, Bonnet wanted to build his own armada. And his strength in numbers limited bloodshed, because he did find that out. A lot of people just surrendered if they had 3 or 4 ships instead of trying to fight them. So Bonnet installed the quartermaster Robert Tucker, who he had just taken as the captain of the newly captured sloop. Robert Tucker was a man who was not to be trifled with, unlike Bonnet. Stories would say that he loved his cutlass and would poke and prod the prisoners and go so far as to sticking them with his sword when he saw fit. So he'd just be like sitting there when they're in the prisoner's hatch and just start stabbing him. Oh, cool. He started cutting people's arms for no reason. And so Bonnet obviously wasn't going to say he couldn't do this because he was sometimes scared that guy was going to take his job.
I might poke him.
Might poke him too and take his job. There later on in some of the court cases, a lot of people did say that Robert Tucker was the one who ran everything. And they said Stede was just a bystander. But we'll talk about that later once we get to the trial. Mm-hmm. Well, 2 days later, on July 31st, 1718, they took another big ship. This one was called the Francis. It was captained by a man named Captain Manwaring. Yeah, that's his name.
Sorry, that's a terrible
Okay.
It's a terrible name, but Manwaring.
What?
Manwaring.
What?
This was a much sneakier way to take a ship, as the Revenge sent out a canoe in the dead of a night to this ship. Not having any flag up to notify Captain Manwaring of any danger, one of his crew asked the canoe who they were and who the ships were. The pirates answered they were Captain Thomas Richards from St. Thomas and Captain Reed from Philadelphia. So the other ship was a schooner from North Carolina, the pirates said. The crew member, now a little more at ease, let his guard down and let the canoe on board. But as he did, he saw the heavily armed men and whispered to himself, "We are taken."
Oh no.
They had no arms on board, right? So like they didn't have any guns, they didn't have any cannons, so they kind of just were screwed.
Yeah.
And instead of being able to have the time to get away, they literally had 6 pirates on board. And we're like, well, he just thinks to himself. I just think that he whispers to himself is funny. He's just like, we're taken. And pretty much like, shit. Yeah, pretty much like, shit, we got screwed. And I didn't do my job.
I am definitely getting fired for this.
Yeah. So they took the captain, Manwaring, back to the Revenge, which now had changed names to the Royal James. So the Revenge was now the Royal James.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's a cool one. It was more
Sounds like a band.
which just like his alias, it was changed so he could not go against the pardon that he had just gotten not too long ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Bonnet and his pirates plundered the ship, taking whatever they wanted from the passengers and the sailors. So they were taking stuff from the passengers' pockets, anything that they wanted. They marooned a few of the passengers and took the ship to continue building the armada. So due to the damage the ships had endured, they decided to head to the Cape Fear River basin. There they found some small sloops and pillaged them for wood and supplies. They worked on the ships for about 2 months, making sure the ships were seaworthy. During that time, news started to spread of pirates in the river basin. There they were.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So a colonel, hearing of the news, he met with the council in Charlestown. And fearing another pirate blockade, they gave Colonel William Rhett a commission and full power over 2 sloops to go after the pirates. So the ships were named the Henry and the Sea Nymph that Colonel Rhett had command over.
The Sea Nymph?
The Sea Nymph.
That's awesome.
That is really cool.
It's pretty dope. I was really hoping the colonel's last name would be Sanders, because Jesus Christ, that would have
It would have made way more sense, yeah. So upon exiting the harbor of Charlestown, Colonel William Rhett met a ship that had been plundered by pirate captain named Vane. Captain Vane. And he was also a famous pirate as well. So
Shit.
He searched for him. William Rhett searched for Captain Vane, but couldn't find a trace until he ran into a few pirate prisoners who said they headed north to careen their ship. So basically, Vane was not a threat anymore. He lost his ship after it had been hurt too much and went on his way. So Rhett got back to the main mission. Again, finding the pirates in the Cape Fear River basin. He sailed into the river basin and saw the 3 sloops of Bonnet's armada. As both ships got closer, the Sea Nymph and the Henry, they both ran aground, which seems to happen a lot in these days. A lot of people, especially in Cape Fear River basins where you can't really tell where all the water lines are and where if there's like a little sandbar somewhere, so it happens a good bit. Unable to get themselves free, Rhett said, let's just wait until morning and then we'll deal with them. But Bonnet saw the ships grounded, and so he sent out a small reconnaissance party in like a little canoe to scout them out. The scouts saw that both ships were heavily armed and ready to go after pirates, which they were, retreated back to the sloops and notified Bonnet of what they saw. Bonnet, being ready for anything, decided to get his men prepared for battle. Old Bonnet, of course. The next morning, Bonnet got the Royal James under sail and built up considerable speed, hoping to escape into the open sea and be able to trap them. But the 2 ships under him forced him closer to the shore because they got them out before Bonnet was able to get out to sea. So the 2 ships forced him into shore. They all got grounded. Again.
Did he really just lose a fight with ships that weren't even shipping? Like,
Yep.
These ships were literally stuck on land.
Yep. Right before.
And he lost.
Yep. Right before he got out
He didn't
to
have
sea.
to do anything.
Yeah. Right before he got out to sea,
Jesus
the ships
Christ.
got ungrounded and forced him into.
He had
Yep.
all night.
Yep.
He could have just shot at him. He could have just sat there and taken pop shots at him.
Yep. So
God, he sucks.
he was really bad.
I want to strangle him. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. He's so bad at pirating.
What's so funny is the Royal James and the Henry were within pistol shot from each other.
Jesus
They
Christ.
were grounded within pistol shot. So for 5 hours, the Henry and the Royal James opened fire at each other, yelling at each other and jeering at each other. But the Sea Nymph was kind of grounded a little farther away, so they couldn't help the battle that much.
He lost
Wow.
a ship fight on land.
Yep.
God damn it.
So the Henry, like they basically spent most of their time firing each other and trying to get their ships back out, back out to sea. Because the first one out to sea is going to win, basically. So the Henry,
He was already the first one at sea.
yeah, they just got screwed. They screwed
God
themselves
damn
over.
it. Sorry. I can't get past this. He could have
He's-
just been like at a slight angle where their cannons couldn't have reached him and been
Mm-hmm.
like, ha, and just like kept shooting all night. He would have fucked him up.
Yep.
So easy.
But he's not Blackbeard.
But
literally the thing.
anyone with common sense.
Yeah, but you have to know water too as well. I think this is the hard thing to understand for us. Is like we don't know water, so like we don't know winds. We don't know how a lot of that works and comes in tandem and river basins and things like that. So a person who doesn't know the sea would get stuck. A person like Blackbeard,
Like all of the ships involved.
100%. Yep, 100%. Colonel Rhett, though, did know the sea. He just got stuck anyways because he didn't know the area. Blackbeard knew the area. He knew where to go not to get stuck and how to circle ships and where to go so that he wouldn't get stuck. And basically 2 ships in between him and escape. He would always be able to be able to escape.
He still lost his ships on land. I'm just saying.
He
Not Blackbeard, but
yeah, Bonnet did.
God damn it.
Yep, and Rhett.
He sucks so
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. So the Henry was the first ship to get out to sea. So they sailed deeper waters and repaired before they made another run at the Royal James. But instead of gunfire, they, of course,
Through swords.
were met with
Swords.
a white flag.
What?
The surrender flag?
He gave up.
Oh my gosh.
Stede Bonnet was tired of the war and afraid to be wounded again in battle, so he surrendered. In all, 19 people died and 24 were wounded on both sides.
19 people?
19 people were killed and 24 were
Wow.
wounded. So that's a lot of people for 3 ships.
Yeah.
Because he didn't even have that many. Like he didn't have over 120 people. He did have 3 sloops, but he didn't have that many people.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
He's so stupid.
So
He's so fucking stupid. I'm so mad about him.
he's now captured, right? They head to Charlestown, and Charlestown didn't have a formal jail yet. Even though it was a colony, it didn't have a formal jail. So all the crew were contained in the watch house. And Stede Bonnet was holed up at the marshal's house. They split him up, basically.
Yeah.
Stede was rich as well. So they were just like, you're the leader, too, so we're going to hold you in a different place. So it made it a little easier so they didn't scheme, basically, to take out. Because they didn't have a jail.
I'm pretty sure it just protected him from being killed by
That-
all of his pissed off crew.
That, too, and is what's funny, we'll find out later. So things that were looking really bleak at this point for the gentleman pirate Stede Bonnet, a man who had left his home for greener pastures and a more interesting life. Well, like, very predictably, 2 of the pirate crew leaders had agreed to testify against Bonnet.
I would at that point too. I'm no snitch, but
Yep.
like that guy's a fucking moron, and he is a menace to society, both evil society and good society. He's a menace to everyone.
Yeah. So even the guy that was rescued by him from certain death on the island after Blackbeard marooned him, David Harriet and Ignatius Pell. He
Dope
was
name.
Ignatius Pell. He was a captain on one of the hands on Blackbeard's ship, so it makes more sense. But David Harriet, who got marooned by Blackbeard and then saved by Bonnet, decided they were going to testify against him.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so mean.
Yeah, it's pretty sad, but Bonnet again, they hated him
mean-
because he got caught.
I know, but like, okay, I get that. They were like, oh, he's an idiot, but he was nice to them.
Bonnet was nice to them. That's this crabby thing, but
Yeah.
they're pirates in a lot of ways. It's like they're
Yeah.
trying to survive because pirates at this time got hanged.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
yep.
And he literally just lost a fight to a ship that was stuck
aground.
on the ground.
2 ships that were ran aground that he could have won
Like that's
escaped
pretty bad.
or escaped. Like he
But
could have escaped.
again, like
He
he's
literally had
just
so much time to
starting.
escape.
Yeah,
This is like his first
he's
time.
a year in. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's been going for a while. He was also, I really want to point out here, literally just like he didn't even have to try. He was trained by the best pirate in world history. Like,
Yep.
literally, Blackbeard's like, taking you under my wing, yar, and like, fucking, like, showed him the ropes. Like, he had the top of the top in pirate history be like, this is how we run shit. And then he's just like, yeah, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What were you doing?
Pretty much.
Like,
He was in his quarters reading a book about how to pirate instead of watching the guy and how to sea captain. Instead of watching the guy let him learn firsthand. That's just kind of how he was. He just wasn't meant to be a sea captain. He wasn't meant to be a pirate.
or aim guns, or
No.
walk.
No. Or
just
anything.
live.
He
Eat
was meant to
food,
be an
really.
aristocrat in Barbados, having slaves. That was like he was born into that,
Yeah.
and that's what he should have done.
Mhm.
You know, as sad as that sounds and horrible as that is, that's what he was. He was meant to
Maybe
be.
he's born with it. Maybe it's pirating.
Well, sometimes people just want to try new things.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
he wanted to try to be a pirate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
I mean, but like, you can try new things. You don't have to involve a bunch of other people
Yeah,
and
that is true.
risk their lives.
In
Yeah.
a situation
Because
where
you're
everyone
like,
will get hung.
I don't
Yeah.
want to fight anymore, and you
Yeah.
want to like raise your white flag, and all your whole crew's like, well, fuck, guess I'll just die.
Yeah. Well, you have to think about too, like he again, like Selena's saying, like he has all these people under his command in a way, and also under his care.
Yeah.
It's, you know, just like an airplane pilot. Like an airplane pilot has all those people under his care or her
That's
care.
true.
You know, their care. So basically, he's the one leading them. He has to
Yeah.
make the big decisions. He has to make the smart, right decisions, and he's just not making them.
Who would you rather? This is a two-parter. Who would you rather have as your airplane pilot, Blackbeard or Stede Bonnet?
Yeah.
That's the real question here, because if they fuck up, everyone dies.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Also, I'm really excited for air piracy, because this is eventually going to happen.
Oh, yeah,
Doesn't
definitely.
that
It did happen on
already
September
happen?
9/11.
No, but that wasn't like
September
air
11th.
piracy. Like I'm
It
saying,
was
like
kind
It
two
of.
was
planes
technically piracy.
pull up. No, that's hijacking. But I'm saying like a plane pulls up next to another plane in the sky, and then they have this like battle back and forth, and then they board each other, jack each other's shit, jump off, like air pirates.
I think that happened in
Sci-fi,
Batman
go for it.
when Bane took his ship. When Bane took his airplane and then just blew up the airplane and took the guy. That kind of happened.
Somebody was
But I
already
mean-
on it.
Yeah, yeah.
I want air
But
pirates.
that's fictional, though.
Yeah.
Also, Black Beard guy, like, he's been a pirate for a long time.
Yeah, since he was like 12, I think. Or
Exactly.
Really
This
young.
guy started when he was, like, older, you
28,
know?
yeah.
So, I mean,
Basically
let's
a
give him a
geriatric.
break, you know? Like, it was like a year, you know? Everyone starts when they're young, like, literally when they're babies.
He
Yeah.
lost to a ship that was on land.
I know, but it was like his first
This is
year.
unforgivable.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably would have done the same thing. Because I don't know anything.
Poor
Aw,
Stede Bonnet.
Betsabe.
Yeah. Oh, poor Betsabe.
Stede Betsabe,
Stede
no.
Captain Forgoso.
I'm just saying, we're being really harsh on this guy that's 28, that just started, that doesn't know anything. And then we're praising this other guy that's been doing it since he was 12.
It's hard not to, like, this is literally a coin flip, though. It's hard not to compare them because they literally hung out with each other and spent so much time together.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah, it is tough.
I mean, he's going to look bad compared to Blackbeard, like, pretty much no matter what.
Yeah, I mean,
But he did have time to learn from Blackbeard.
But the thing is too, it's like you can look on it in another way of like moral compass. It's like Blackbeard had none.
Yeah, true.
Blackbeard pretty much marooned everybody.
Yeah,
And then
Maroon
but
fived.
Maroon 5'd him.
Yeah.
But Stede was always the gentleman, like he was born to be. He was a gentleman, like he never killed him. He never, you know, did
Didn't even
horrible
poke.
things. He didn't poke or prod.
And he was smart on some things,
Yeah,
you
he
know?
was.
Like, he
He
had
had
his
his things.
strengths.
He didn't need, I would say that he didn't need to be the captain of the ship, but he could have been part of the leadership of the ship.
Yeah.
Because he had his you know, like he could have been the one that built the business. He could, okay, so let's look at it like this. He could have been in the mob if the pirates were a mob, and he could have been the guy that built the businesses, making them understand
The
that
shell
the mob
companies.
had to have the businesses to survive and not just the illegal parts of it.
He could have been like the right hand.
He was a slave-owning asshole who completely abandoned his family and got a lot of people killed through his complete lack of admitting to his own incompetencies.
Yes.
I think that's the best way to describe him.
So
Lest we forget of all this piracy that he is that guy.
I'm just saying, not exactly humble intellectual beginnings. Like, you know, it's like, no, he was a douche from the get-go. And like, I don't know about Blackbeard. I'm assuming Blackbeard didn't start off rich.
Nope.
Like, he came out scrappy as fuck out of the hood and was like, this is the shit. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to be good at. I got respect for that. This other dude's like, this life on the plantation is so hard.
Yeah, no, the fact that he abandoned his family.
I found this beautiful woman who just wants to take care of me. Goodbye.
Yep. With 3 kids.
And the 3 kids.
He probably hid his kid in that closet.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened.
But Bonnet would carry on like he always did and hatched a plan to escape. Of course he did. So on October 24th, 3 weeks after he was captured and imprisoned, Bonnet and Harriet slipped past bribed sentries. So they gave money to a bunch of sentries, basically looked the other way. They were dressed in women's clothes, big, huge dresses, and that's how they got out of the town.
They escaped via drag.
They escaped via drag,
Yeah.
They escaped via drag. Also, I have a strange feeling they literally didn't need to do that part because they just paid folks who weren't making that much money a shit ton of money, and everybody's like, yeah, you can just go, and they're like,
no, I need to put on my corset.
That's the funny thing is that they paid people to get by them, and they still did it. They like you're saying, they didn't need to do it, so it just made it it just kind of made it like a funny show. Like it made it like a show almost.
This is the equivalent, the financial equivalent of losing a pirate battle on land.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
God damn it.
And he keeps going. So
I love it.
That's pretty cool.
God damn it.
Citizens were freaking pissed when they found this out too. Like everybody in the town was pissed because they knew that Bonnet was part of the original blockade of Charlestown. And then they knew that he was part of the second part of it, where he was out there taking ships that were on their way to Charlestown. So everybody was just so mad. And so they knew that someone high up in the council helped him escape too. That was the rumor. They knew that somebody that had been paid, or that because he was a huge landowning person, that they were going to get some money on the back end. So because of this, the governor was like, I'm going to head this off. I know what's happening. I know people are pissed. I'm going to head this off, and I'm going to offer a huge reward. So he offered a $700 reward if anyone brought him Stede Bonnet back.
That's it?
700? It's a lot of money back then.
How much now?
It's $250K. It's $250,000.
$250,000.
I mean, to bring like a
That's a lot to bring a person to justice, or
yeah,
even
but
information.
It's also Stede Bonnet, so
Yeah,
it
so
really
pretty
shouldn't
easy.
be that hard. you just need to get chased by him and break your own leg, and somehow you'll win.
Speaking of how easy it was to catch him,
God damn it!
so Stede was helped escape by a local fisherman who was also bribed. He provided a canoe and got them upriver to Sullivan.
Still in drag.
Yeah, to Sullivan's Island. So yeah, pretty much. So they're in Sullivan's Island.
Steve,
But
you don't need to sleep in drag. I'm sorry. No, I quite like it now.
I quite
actually,
like it. This is my new life.
Well, that's cool, but we're also pirates.
They got held up there a bit, waiting on the sloop that the fishermen had promised to bring. Right? They did actually get held up on the way to Sullivan's Island too, because the weather was bad. So that's probably what also stopped the fisherman's ship from getting there, is that the weather. So
Did Raymond this perm?
Yeah.
I think not.
a little bit of bad luck. So Stede Bonnet decided that he was going to write a letter to the fishermen saying, pissed off, like, why didn't you bring me this ship? You didn't bring it to so-and-so place. The letter never reached the fishermen because sentries caught the people that were delivering the letter to the guy and used the letter they gave it to the governor, and then he gave it to Colonel Rhett, and Colonel Rhett, who found him in the first place, found him again.
He put
Oh
the
my
return
God.
address on the letter, didn't he?
He put where he was on the letter.
God damn it.
Oh my god.
Not
That's hilarious.
stupidly thinking, like, and this is why it makes me this is so stupid, is because not thinking that it was going to get captured, because the people he sent to give it were just people that were in like clothes that were in rags because they were also with him. So like they were easily spotted by the sentries that were out looking for him.
Oh my gosh.
And so not
He's
more
so
than
good at being bad.
he escaped for he's gone for 2 weeks. It does take a while to capture somebody and find out exactly where they are. But after 2 weeks, he was returned to Charlestown. Yep.
Sir.
It's time for that trial now. So, as the trial started, they had 33 crew members who were set to stand trial for piracy. They decided to try Stede Bonnet on his own and the other 33 members by themselves. So Stede got his own trial and the 33 members got their trial all together. Which is kind of crappy, honestly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Hello, Tryals.
yeah. Well, it's only 2 because the 33 members got tried together, and then Stede got tried by himself. 31 of the crew members pleaded not guilty, and 2 pleaded guilty. So, whatever. There's like, we're kind of done with this. So 29 were found guilty and sentenced to death by hanging, because that's what they were hanged. And 4 actually were acquitted. I don't know how the 4 got acquitted or why they got acquitted. Maybe they were just picked up randomly, or they said that they became prisoners and had to do it. But 4 of them were acquitted, so 4 of them lived. They all made the argument that they were marooned by Blackbeard. So that was their defense, in that they got stuck with Stede, and that's why they were pirates. So, and that they're rescued by Bonnet, so they could do legal work in privateering in St. Thomas, and were duped. But now is the time for the main event. The trial of Stede Bonnet.
Yay.
Yep. On November 10th, 1718, he was arraigned. And of course, like he always would think he would do, he pleaded not guilty. He only had 2 charges against him, 2 big main charges.
Please tell me he represented himself.
Yeah.
Please fucking tell me he
So,
represented himself.
At this time, that's the funny thing you say that. At this time, you were not allowed to have legal counsel as a defense if it was for anything other than being a traitor. That was the law. So you had to represent yourself if you weren't on trial for being a traitor.
I'll take it as a win.
Yeah. So technically, yeah, he had to defend himself. So did the crew members. That's why they all said that they said the same thing. They were like, that's our defense. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yep. So pleaded not guilty. And the first thing that he got, one of his 2 charges was pillaging the Francis, which he did. And the second was stealing and pillaging the Fortune. So those were the 2 big ships. So they kind of like swept everything else he did under the rug.
So,
Because these were the 2 that they actually had witnesses for. It's just like cases nowadays. They only will go after the cases they think they can win. And they'll
Yeah.
kind of like, they'll pile a bunch of cases against them, but knowing that they could win 1 or 2. Most of this part was about lawyer speak, and it was pretty much all the transcript of the whole trial, because they kept legal transcripts like normal.
So, like, the book that you're referencing here, like, it basically just went, like,
It just went straight
full
transcript.
old school 1700s
Speak.
transcript.
Yes. Yeah.
Fuck yes.
Yeah. So I only have one part that I thought kind of showed his defense, right? He had a defense, and most of it was just back and forth between him and a witness.
No,
But-
I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did.
Actually, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So Stede Bonnet said this, basically, was his one defense. May it please your honors and the rest of the gentlemen, though I must confess myself a sinner, and the greatest of sinners. Yet I am not guilty of what I am charged with. Of course, that's what he says. As for what the boatswain says, relating to several vessels, I am altogether free. The boatswain was one of the guys on the other ship that helped him capture the ship. So he was almost like the quartermaster and similar kind of things. I just wanted to explain that because that's kind of a pirating word, you know?
Yes.
For I never gave my consent to any such actions, for I often told them, if they did not leave off committing such robberies, I would leave the sloop, and desired them to put me on the shore. And as for taking Captain Manwaring, who, I assure your honors, it was contrary to my inclination. And when I...
Wait, what? Hold up. It was contrary to my inclination?
Yeah, basically he said he didn't want that to happen.
But I, didn't like it, though.
Yeah, literally that's what he's saying.
What the fuck?
That's his defense. And when I cleared my vessel at North Carolina, it was for St. Thomas, and I had no other end or design in view but to go there for a commission. So basically he's saying what he did is not, he's saying what he actually did wasn't what he meant to do.
Oh
I get that.
So it was like, I was leaving North Kakalaki. I was heading towards St. Thomas. At least I thought I was. And then everybody else all started getting rowdy and doing all this crazy shit. And I was like, look, fellas, I ain't into that. And if y'all are going to get into that, just leave me on the beach, margarita in hand. And they all were like, jab, jab, stab, stab. And I was like, oh, let's keep going. Wait, how did we end up in the north?
Yeah. Oh no, we ended up here.
Worst captain ever.
Worst captain
This is
ever.
almost believable.
Yeah, I know. What's funny is he plays
really-
it as believable because he's
he
that.
might be that bad.
Yeah.
So-
But when we came to sea, and I saw a vessel, the quartermaster, Robert Tucker, who in
The poke.
the pokey guy, and with the cutlass, who actually in the trial, some of the other people said that Robert Tucker was the actual leader of the thing, and that Bonnet was not guilty. It was one of Bonnet's character witnesses, basically, as he brought one of the guys up saying, no, Bonnet really wasn't the captain. He kind of was there on the ride for a ride, just like he was on Blackbeard's ship. Yeah, so that's how he played it. Being a landowning aristocrat, he knew how to game the system.
Yeah.
You know? He was basically trying not to go to the chair and plead insanity.
Yeah.
That's his whole goal. But he's pleading stupidity in this one. He's not pleading insanity, just stupidity. But when we came to sea and saw a vessel, the quartermaster and some of the rest held a consultation to take it. I opposed it, and told them again I would leave the sloop and let them go where they pleased. That was his whole defense.
All right then.
Was literally, I was gonna, but I didn't.
He just said that I didn't want to do it, but they did it. Literally, he's just claiming stupidity
It's
and
not me, it's
ignorance.
them.
He's claiming ignorance about them wanting to do it, saying that he opposed it, but he still did it.
I really like to picture, and based off of his history, I feel like this is accurate. He had the entire court paid off by this point, and is still fucking up this bad.
He's pretty bad. So they
The
did.
judge is like, just don't say anything. It's okay. I got you.
Yeah.
There was some.
No.
No, let me screw it up more. So there was some more questioning along the line of, but you guys took the Captain Mannering, who, Manwaring. You took that captain and basically almost tortured him because that's what the Tucker was doing. His answer to that was,
No, I didn't.
I was asleep. No joke. He said I was asleep while that happened, and everyone's
Yes.
at that moment. The jury, the judges, just looked at each other and were just like,
God damn it.
they just nodded their heads, and it's just really, that's your defense. You were asleep.
I was asleep.
So, after he made that argument, the jury deliberated and found him guilty on the first charge of taking the Francis. So, obviously, he was found guilty because he just couldn't make up a good story. So, after they found him guilty for the first charge, they took a break for a day, right? They're going to the second charge. And they actually tried him twice. You don't get to get tried once for both charges.
Yeah.
So his thing was okay, I was found guilty. So it came the second day for taking the fortune, which his second charge was.
Well, why even do a second day if he already got found guilty? Because they're gonna kill him anyways.
After letting the fate sink in, he decided just to plead guilty. The second day, he was just like, all right, well, I'm already found guilty. I'm already probably going to be killed. I'm just going to plead guilty. And maybe they'll actually give me some, like, they'll let me go. Or they'll just put me in jail forever, you know?
After yesterday's
incidents, he didn't want to go into those again. So it basically would have just been the same charges, asking another captain of like, oh, okay, he did take the ship. And he would just say the same thing. We're bound for St. Thomas, even though we were in Philadelphia, going up from North Carolina. But I was asleep most of that trip. I really didn't understand where we were going because I don't know north from south, which is very believable for this guy. I read a few books. I read a couple of them. I kind of woke up and we were in Philadelphia and I was on another ship and we'd just taken it and I'd maybe...
Let me hit up my friend Benji.
Yeah, let me hit up my friend Benji. So the trial was adjourned basically because he said, I'm just guilty. I don't want to go through this whole charade again. And so again, they wait another day. Mm-hmm. The next day, which was November 13th, 1718, that was the sentencing. The judge gave the sentence thus. The sentence that the law hath appointed to pass upon you for your offences, and which this court doth therefore award is, that you, the said Stede Bonnet, shall go from hence to the place from whence you came.
Wait,
what? They just sent him back?
They just sent him home?
Just go home.
They literally gave him the rich boy treatment?
And from thence to the place of execution, where you shall be hanged by the neck until you are dead.
In front of your wife that you abandoned and your kids.
And the God of infinite mercy be merciful to your soul. Basically what they said, you're going back to jail, and then we're going to hang you.
Yeah.
We're not sending you home. We're sending you back to thence which you came. Literally came from that day.
Oh, wow.
Not from, that's the idea behind it.
He gave him more poetic credit than
I know.
It's the,
it's like they're just sending him home. God damn it.
Honestly, there wouldn't have been a more humiliating thing for him if he got sent home for being captured for piracy,
yeah, how embarrassing.
and then got hanged in front of his family.
Yeah. So he still got off easy.
He got off a little easy.
God damn it.
So this isn't Bonnet, though. You know? He's rich.
Yeah.
How can he get away with this? How can he get out of this?
Yeah.
So Bonnet pleaded and begged everyone he could to avoid going to the gallows. He was like, I'll be your servant. I'll do whatever you need. He sent a letter to the governor. He even tried to send a message to the king. But the governor was like, no, you're going to die. You're going to get hung. I don't care what you do. You can send anything. Doesn't matter to me. So every letter he sent, at the end of it, he would sign it as your most miserable and afflicted servant, Stede Bonnet. Or Stede. He didn't always write Bonnet. Yeah. But he wrote that at the end of every letter he sent to these people. He was pretty truly scared of going to the gallows. He was honestly afraid to die. That was one of the things he was really scared of. But like any rich, orphan kid, or any rich kid that like gets his way all the time, he's scared of being the one thing he can't pay off.
Accountability.
Yeah, accountability is the big thing. The man who captured him, Colonel Rhett, he said he even offered to take Bonnet to the king himself to plead for mercy because he felt so bad because he was so miserable and pleaded so much. He was just like, he's such a little bitch. I feel bad for him. Maybe he can get off to be a servant and just live his life shittily. And so
wouldn't
even
he
the
rather
guy
die than live like that though?
No. He doesn't want accountability, like you said.
He's so scared of it.
Yeah, it was really sad.
But then he would be more accountable if he had to live like a slave for the rest of his life.
He would find a way to get out of it. That's how he feel. Like at least he was alive. Wow. He'd find a way. That's
I would just rather die. Like how embarrassing.
Yeah, true. So the governor said, "Nope, your fate's sealed, bud." And finally, after a month of waiting and sending letters, on December 10th, 1718, he climbed the steps to the gallows pole. So, he held a withered bouquet of flowers.
Oh my god.
This is so cringe. I know.
Oh my god.
And he was hung until he died. In less than a year and a half of sailing the open seas, Bonnet had gone from a landowning gentleman aristocrat to one of the most notorious, worst pirates of all time, but sailing with one of the most notorious pirates, Blackbeard, and commandeering at least 25 ships. So he stole at least 25 by the end of his life. And he would go on to inspire the song, Come Sail Away.
No
Are
way.
you fucking serious?
Are you?
No, I'm
okay.
kidding. I'm not
Damn
serious.
it.
But it would be funnier if he did.
Jesus Christ.
The end.
Yep.
This guy's such an idiot.
Oh my god.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week as we leave the high seas. Yar, matey.
Yarg.
Thank you so much for listening to the Black Cat Report and our episode on Stede Bonnet. What a terrible, terrible pirate. From hero to zero in less than a year. Please remember to like, review, and follow wherever you get your podcasts. Also, follow us on Instagram for all the latest up-to-date news on the report. We'll see you next week as we leave the high seas.